Please stand up and just move to the other side of those boards there and just spread around the room. Now, I'll introduce the topic. I'm going to invite someone to make a statement. Then I'm going to invite you to move. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I'm in Calgary, the heart of oil country.
Okay, so here we go.
And here's something you don't see every day. Albertans from all different parts of the energy sector, from oil and gas to renewables, playing a game together. A very serious game.
So here's the first statement. Creating the energy system the future requires of us means.
Creating the energy system the future requires of us means recognizing that not every current form of energy will have a role in the future system.
Now, the point of the game is to try to get people with vastly different ideas to listen to one another.
Canada has some of the cleanest energy in the world, and we need to showcase that on the world stage.
They don't produce things just for the hell of it. They do it because someone is consuming it.
It's called a moving conversation. As in, if you like what someone says, you move towards them.
Creating the energy system of the future means dismantling capitalism.
If you don't, you move away. It's a way to talk about things like pipelines or climate change without shouting at each other.
I'm interested to actually hear someone offer a statement just around the whole question of pipelines.
I would say that the pipelines are probably not a part of the future.
The people in this room are part of something called the Energy Futures Lab. It's a kind of think tank.
If we aren't part of the solution, on a global perspective, we are part of the problem.
I'm not sure how much Canada can do.
They want Alberta to be a leader in new energy technologies and to fight climate change. In the land of oil and gas? Really? So I've come to ask, can Alberta be the solution?
Pipelines is not just about Alberta, it's not just about Quebec, and it's not just about BC. We have energy that is available to the world, and if we can't get that to market, we can't support the energy transition worldwide.
Take Maggie Hanna's ideas, for example. She's worked in oil and gas for 25 years. She's pro-pipeline, but maybe not for the reasons you might think. For Maggie, you need oil, or hydrocarbons, to get renewables going.
Where are you going to get the metal from to make a wind turbine blade? We can't make steel without metallurgical coal. We can't fire a furnace off of solar. It doesn't happen that way.
Okay.
I don't think so.
She's fine. Maybe you find yourself moving towards Maggie, or maybe you're moving away.
I dare you.
The point is, the people here believe we won't solve the planet's energy problems if we don't tap into everyone's ideas.
And what's at stake?
Well, life. Life on the planet is at stake.
If I could get your attention at the front here. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to lead this session.
That's why for Chad Park, this meeting is urgent. Chad is one of the founders of the Energy Futures Lab.
When we hear the polarized debates and so on, it's easy to draw conclusions that, for example, one part of the country, really cares about climate change, and another part of the country doesn't seem to care about it. In Alberta, for example, and I think this shows that that's very far from true. And the rest of the country probably could stand to understand that Alberta, Albertan, this sector, these people can be part of the solution too, and are actively working to be part of the solution.
If you're thinking this is just more talk, more civilized talk, but talk nonetheless, not so fast.
So bad they just go dunk, 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 dunk. Anyway.
The Energy Futures Lab is hands-on too.
So why do we have a temperature differential that's just so big?
One of its members, Jim Sandercock, runs an alternative energy program in Edmonton at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. He's doing tests on solar panels with some of his students.
I think it would be great if Alberta could apply our skilled trades and our engineering know-how to create more energy solutions and increasingly moving towards what the world wants, which is carbon neutral. Whether that is bitumen that has a way lower greenhouse gas footprint, whether that is generating more electricity using cleaner processes like using solar. I think we have that ability in Alberta to do all those things.
All right, I'll come around the other side.
Jim tells me that in the last year, his alternative energy program has doubled in size.
Why do this in the first place?
And with the economic downturn, several of his students are former oil patch workers.
My name is Dustin Taylor. I'm from right here in Edmonton, Alberta. I've worked in oil and gas for probably the last 15 years up until this point. Oil put food on the table for us.
I see
Our fancy MC4 connectors.
Dustin was born into an oil and gas family, and he thought that would be his life too. He was making more than $100,000 a year.
Good.
But it didn't last.
We had a big drop in oil prices and my entire division got axed, and so I just said, you know what, I'm going to go both feet in and just go right back to school. I mean, we all talk about climate change. It's a glaring issue. It's not something we're getting away from. It affects all of us. So I mean, I don't just look at my future when I do this. I mean, I look at my kids' future, my grandkids' future, and one day if we don't do some of the things that we need to, they're going to ask me why I didn't do something, and I don't want to be able to look at them and not say I didn't do something about it, right?
A couple extra watts. Yep.
Dustin isn't just trying to send a message to his kids. He has one for oil workers, too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a change in that one.
One of the forms of renewable energy he's learned about is geothermal, which requires drilling into the earth to harness the energy underground.
We've got some of the best trained and well-experienced drillers in the world. There's a place for them in that world as well. So they can definitely be a part of this transition. So I would definitely like to see, I mean, I've got friends in oil and gas still, and I definitely don't want to see them lose their houses over things. So, you know, it'd be nice to see a few of them get involved.
Do you have to update this every time?
The good news for Dustin is he's already got a job. As soon as he graduates this spring, he'll be installing solar panels. But not every student here is that well set up. I meet another former oil worker, Bonhart.
I previously came from the oil and gas industry, worked for directional drilling oil and gas exploration for the last 8 years. It was booming at the time, so you just kind of working where the money is. And
how much money were you making when you're working in oil and gas?
$150,000 a year, so yeah, $500 a day usually for a day rate. So it's good money. Yeah.
Right. Second one would create a job fault.
Aaron gave all that up in part because he's worried about climate change.
It depends on how the configuration.
I knew that climate crisis is real. So instead of turning my back on it, I wanted to be part of it, like part of the solution to change that. That, like I've heard from experts, 20 to 30 years, you hit that point, you can't go back.
You would never have it flat, you'd have it up.
The Alberta government is looking for solutions too. They vowed to make renewable energy 30% of the power grid by 2030.
And it sticks out this way.
So there will be jobs. But is that soon enough for Aaron?
It is scary to think that this potentially may not take off as quick as I'd like, but all you can do is hope, I guess. Yeah.
If oil prices go through the roof, what would you do? You going to go back?
Well, it'd be nice to say no, but to be honest, because of the money and the student loans,
right,
money pays for everything. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I like to say I would say no, but it depends on my situation at the time. And
I mean, what do you hope for?
I hope to be a part of the solution.
This system right now, we've got our different breakers.
Surprised that former oil patch workers want to fight climate change?
Excellent, guys.
Well, that's exactly the kind of bias the Energy Futures Lab wants to smash.
Yeah, in the spirit of the lab, this is very much an experiment. And
back in Calgary, they're playing a game to show people their biases around energy.
And you can be really outside the box.
The boxes with the wigs, they represent people. The cards are people's biases.
Here, I'm going to put a $ on your nose because
when someone has a lot of biases, they're boxed in, and they can't hear anyone else.
Can I talk?
So we've been looking at trying to understand the biases that would cause people to say no to pipelines. You know, we have our own biases in them, but this is, I think, forcing us to understand why somebody would have a contrarian viewpoint and see things a little differently than we might sitting in our own little box.
Well done on all your boxes. I heard some very thoughtful conversations. If we don't allow ourselves to look outside the box, we are going to not be able to get to the root of all the problems that are facing us. So thank you, fabulous volunteers.
Of course, just getting rid of stereotypes and biases isn't going to solve climate change. Still, the hope here is that the best solutions will only come when people start listening to one another.
You can take the boxes off if you want. You look amazing.
Nick Purdon, CBC News, Calgary.